While this is a matchup between a 2nd and a 7th seed, I'm not so sure the Rockets are the favorites in this series. While everyone likes to say defense wins championships, at some point you're going to have to be able to put the ball in the basket. And it just so happens that the Warriors have a couple of guys who can do that better than anyone else in the gym. And oh yeah, one of them happens to be named Steph Curry. To get a handle on how the Rockets intend to guard Curry, you can see Amen Thompson face guarding him, ignoring where the ball is to key in on his man. There were many possessions like this one where Curry remains on the perimeter, essentially creating a 4-on-4 scenario, which isn't too bad considering they also have Jimmy Butler on their team, despite the wide open miss from 3. Here's another example of Fred VanVleet glued to Curry on the weak side, and the Warriors create a 4-on-4 and get a pretty good shot, but better contest by Şengün. But the Rockets will take the trade-off, since there are times where Steph cuts out of the play, and you can see how physical the refs will allow the defense to be, but now the Warriors have guys handling the ball that aren't as comfortable, and it led to this steal and transition basket that gave the Rockets a nice lead. Because Steph is so unique, they have 2 ways to combat this type of defense, letting him work with the ball in his hands or utilize his off-ball talents. Dillon Brooks gets a little shot in, which will be par for the course for Curry all series, but Curry also dishes it out with a little shove on his flare cut to get an open 3-point shot. The biggest weapon they have for Curry off ball is the low post split, and they have a variety of ways to run it. On this one, Curry gets the first screen from Podziemski, and the problem with face guarding Curry is that you don't see the screens coming, as Thompson is late and has to switch Curry to Green. Green is focused directly on Curry, it doesn't see the Moody cross screen. Şengün is completely unaware, and despite their focus on stopping Curry, he has 2 open threes in the first 5 minutes of the game. Here's another low post split, and because VanVleet is in good position to chase around, Curry rejects the screen and even brings Adams with him. While Gary Payton II isn't a shooter, he can knock down the wide open ones. The Warriors will also run the split action without throwing it to the low post, this time with Moody in the deep corner. But it's the same play, and watch how Draymond takes Easton out of the play with a combination screen and cut to the low block. Now you've got another big screener in Quentin Post forcing Brooks underneath, and he's a very good shooter, so notice how Adams has to stay with him. Curry reads this perfectly and turns the corner for a layup without any protection near the rim to stop him. With Curry out of the game, they still run their low post split action with different options. Hield is in the Steph role coming around 2 screens. While that was well defended, watch Guy Santos cut through after feeding Jimmy the ball. Then watch Draymond set the hammer screen by crashing himself into Jabari Smith, allowing Jimmy to get in the air out of bounds and throw this pass to Guy wide open for the corner 3. The Warriors continued to hammer the Rockets with this action over and over, but because they can vary it by position and personnel, it's hard to guard. And when you have the kind of symbiotic connection like they were twins from the same embryo, passes like this from Draymond to Steph will get through the solid defense and lead to what appear to be easy layups. The split action, when it involves Curry, can cause all manner of havoc. Watch how Jimmy slips wide open to the basket when both defenders worry about Steph, but then they jump to Jimmy, and guess who gets another open look in the first half. And if you want to get upset over how physical the defense is with Steph, don't forget he's going to give it back as well. Watch how he just yanks Thompson out of the way on this backdoor cut and catches Şengün sleeping on the weak side for the layup. And sometimes it just doesn't matter what you do when you're dealing with a player like Steph. That same low post split action occurs near the high post as Curry flies around the pin down, and the slightest bit of daylight allows him to step back out of alignment, have to rotate in the air to get the alignment, push this shot on an impossibly high 60-degree angle, and drop it straight in the basket for a crucial 3 points and 10-point cushion. There are a variety of ways Curry can score the basketball, either off the ball or off the dribble. And it's the same kind of opportunities you could get by playing Prize Picks, the best place to turn all this knowledge you're getting from me into cash. By choosing between more or less on at least 2 players' box score output, you get a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Most players couldn't possibly replicate the kind of shots we saw last night, but Steph can. So head over to Prize Picks now. They've got Taco Tuesdays, where you'll find several discounts, and Flex Friday make you eligible for protected play. Here are my picks for today, so download the app and see how you do. With my code CONS, you'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. And that brings us to how Curry utilized the dribble to get shots up. The Warriors targeted Şengün most of the time in the pick and roll, bringing him way above the three-point line to stop the potential shot, and this quick pocket pass gets him a 3-on-2 mini break. I get why Brooks wants to ignore Draymond at the three-point line to help, but this allows Green an open cut, which draws Eaton over, enabling Jimmy to cut open behind him for the easy layup. This time, they run a pin away from Moody, who then ball screens for Curry. Van Vliet does an excellent job to stay attached, but Steph has all manner of craftiness at his disposal. He ends the dribble with the left foot down, steps onto his right foot pivot, then launches this off-foot floater from well outside the lane to increase their lead to 6. In transition, Şengün must know where Curry is way before this. By the time he realizes his man was ball screening Steph, it's too late and Curry gets another open look from 3. As the clock started winding down in the third, Curry has Jalen Green on an island. After Green attempted to take him a few times on his offensive end, I suspect Curry wanted some payback. There's a little bit of wiggling on that pivot foot that the ref doesn't catch because he's very hyper-focused on the potential for a foul up top. And give credit to Green for perfect defense to slide alongside Curry. However, Curry does another twisting shot, this time falling out of bounds on a 55-degree arc just to get it off. The fact that it went in is both awe-inspiring, but not surprising at the same time. At any time they want, they can hunt Şengün in the pick and roll and generate a good shot, as Payton again short rolls but gets way too fancy with the no-look fastball thrown way too hard for Jimmy to handle. Just don't ignore that it would have been a layup with a straightforward pass. And the Warriors have also discovered that getting Curry and Butler involved in close proximity is a huge advantage. While it's Payton screening, as Curry nears the right wing attacking Adams, it lures Easton into a full help, opening a straight line drive for Butler to get both feet in the lane for the deuce. And the quick handoff from Jimmy puts a ton of pressure for the defenders. They're so afraid of the three-pointer that they leave the open path to the bucket for a layup. Ime Udoka found a real weapon in Steven Adams, who had missed a lot of the season but can vacuum up the boards like few other centers in the league. The large lead started to shrink when they went to a horn set and get zoom action for Brooks coming out of the corner off the pin down into handoff. That flows right into the pin down for Van Vliet, catching Kevon Looney in a tough spot. Does he step up to stop an open shot, or does he sink down to stay with his own man? He gets caught in between, sweet pocket pass, and nice reverse off 2 feet begins the comeback. Here's the same play, but this time it's Brooks who takes advantage on the handoff. While Looney does a great job to contest the shot, it means Jimmy has to deal with Adams, who simply snatches the ball away. Now it's the Rockets' turn to run a low post split with Brooks and Van Vliet. The Warriors are well versed in defending this one and bottle it up, but it left Looney contesting the 3 and nowhere near the rim. With 3 Rockets in the lane, it's no surprise they again come up with the offensive rebound, and this time Adams sets up Van Vliet with a drive. Watch how he veers in front of Butler to cut him off. Butler doesn't want to foul, so he yields. The only way the Rockets are going to find offensive success is to pound the offensive glass. They just don't have a good enough offense or scorers against an elite defense like Golden State's. Pajemski gets screened by Adams, so his man Thompson gets a shot at it. Buddy Hield gets pushed out of the way, and Jabari Smith Jr. grabs it, and Looney is forced to foul and give them points from the free throw line. One note about Adams' rebounding that makes him so good. Notice how he doesn't turn his back on the basket searching for someone to box out. He simply tracks the ball with his eyes the whole time and goes after it strong. The rookie Quentin Post got stuck on a couple of possessions defensively. He needs to know he can pass Van Vliet off to BP and ignore Adams on the perimeter. He should be an early help on the block to prevent the Smith drive for an easy layup. The Warriors try to combat this big lineup by bringing both bigs out to the perimeter and let Steph sprint around the pin down. Because they knock Green off the path, Adams has to step up, and just when Payton thinks he's got an easy layup, it's Smith who just knocks it away. The adjustment the Warriors should make is to put Post on Adams, not Şengün, as we see another ISO collapse the defense into the paint where Draymond is hanging on to Adams for dear life. The other adjustment is to play Hacken Adams, since he's one of the worst free throw shooters the league has ever seen. The Warriors do have an advantage against this big lineup as it forces Şengün to guard Jimmy. However, they didn't see it on this fourth quarter possession. They had a chance to get a middle drive and kick to Jimmy here, but instead toss it to the corner where the Rockets are more than happy to see Payton shoot a three-pointer. I haven't liked how the Rockets executed their offense all year long, and you just can't have this much confusion down 6 deep in the fourth. Thompson screens the ball but isn't supposed to be there. Then Smith starts sprinting up to ball screen, but Green passes it. They overcame these kind of things all night with offensive rebounding and somehow coaxes Jimmy into tipping the ball right into the basket. The refs came into play a little bit down the stretch as Podziemski attacks the middle and gathers the ball with his right foot down. He's got 2 more legal steps after this. Left foot step 1, right foot step 2, and then a third step with that left foot. They must have thought he bobbled it when Van Vliet reached in, and this missed travel call hurt because this terrific defensive possession ends up in an improbable bucket by Moody to extend the lead. Then they get into trouble on this hyper-aggressive double team off of Curry on the pick and roll, something the Warriors need to be better prepared for in Game 2, and the ball clearly goes out of bounds off of Draymond's hand. But they gave it back to the Warriors, where Steph promptly grabs the inbounds pass and cold buries a 34-footer, which became the first nail in the coffin. And the Warriors should have gotten the call here when they lured 2 defenders to Steph off the pin down, leaving Jimmy wide open to the basket. Eason got there in time to force a pump fake, but Şengün makes clear contact across Jimmy's shoulder to force the miss. And there's a lot of irony in the Warriors ending the game with offensive rebounds after how much damage the Rockets did in this category, as Van Vliet doesn't go for the ball and BP tips it up so Draymond can put it back in. And then Jalen Green does not battle with Jimmy at all on this missed layup, allowing the putback to seal the game. The only way the Rockets can compete is by making this a rough and tumble physical game where putbacks are more important than threes. But in a 7-game series against the Warriors, I think that is all but impossible. Warriors in 5.